If you have ever stepped onto a construction site in some place, you know it is a place where more quietness and pure comedy coexist in the same room. Today, I am here to narrate the most seamless way possible, a full journey through countless amusing scenes collected from different workplaces. Everything you are about to read is based on a kind of joyful, harmless misconception that hard-working people attempt ordinary tasks and somehow turn them into unforgettable moments. As I begin my commentary, imagine that you're standing beside me, coffee in hand, watching a day unfold with the sort of rewarding surprises that only watching inside. The morning begins with a group of workers arriving one by one, with determination to start the day smoothly. However, the idea of a smooth start quickly becomes a distant dream as soon as the first worker of the day steps onto the site. His name, for the sake of our story, looks like a man who believes the universal lines itself around his schedule.
I'm ready.
With a confident stride, he dusts his hands together as if preparing for a heroic task, then tries to pick up a line of nearby.
Weißt du?
The
Soll
plan
ich anzählen oder willst du einfach so versuchen?
has different
1,
intentions.
2 und 3.
As Ray lifts one hand, the opposite end rises as well, swings gently up, and taps him on the shoulder like a polite reminder that the laws of balance still exist. Ray turns around, confused, and his hands were lightly touched by the very object he is holding. And this, my friend, is the earliest sign that the day will be full of cheerful surprises. As I stand there observing, the sun begins to climb slowly above the sky. The sight grows brighter. Another worker, whom I'll call Ben, attempts to move a small pile of insulation sheets. They are light. At least, they should be. Ben picks up a stack that is slightly taller than necessary. First he begins to walk. The wind decides to one sheet tilts forward, another tilts back, and suddenly the entire stack begins to move like a deck of cards in the Ben tries to control it, spinning around slowly, his arms extended in pure dedication, and for a moment he almost succeeds. But the sheets gently glide out of formation and settle around him like oversized petals. Ben looks down, nods to himself, and simply picks them up again as if this choreography was just part of his work. While these small events unfold, the sound of conversation grows louder. A few workers begin arranging tests a measuring tape by stretching it far across an open area. He steps back, proud of the reach, and then watches as the tape retracts smoothly. But the marvel of this process is that it oscillates slightly at the end, causing him to take an unexpected step backward. He maintains perfect balance, but the expression on his face is a flawless surprise and admiration. It is as if he has just witnessed a magic trick designed specifically. By mid-morning, the energy on the construction site feels warm and vibrant. Conversations float through the air in fragments. One worker shares a story about his weekend. Another talks about a recipe he tried and failed to cook. A third explains the brilliance of a sports match he watched last night. Amid these discussions, someone carries a toolbox that seems heavier than expected. He lifts it with the strength of determination, only to realize he accidentally grabbed the box containing everything imaginable, not the light bulb. The moment he lifts it, his knees bend slightly, and he pauses, recalculating his options. But he keeps a straight face, takes a deep breath, and carries the box across the side. His friends pretend not to notice, which somehow makes the scene more fun. Now let me direct your attention to the scaffolding area, where a worker named Theo is preparing to start a basic task. Theo is known for his patience and steady pace. Today, he climbs the first few steps with the grace of someone who has done this hundreds of times. But then, as he realizes one small tool. He glances down and contemplates simply calls someone to him. After a brief moment of internal negotiation, he chooses option 3, trying to down without moving his feet, believing his flexibility is far. Predictably, he cannot reach the tool. Instead of jumping, he simply holds the poles for an extra second, hoping the tool will magically move closer. Theo then laughs quietly and finds out. All these moments create a rhythm, a gentle The beauty of the scenes lies not in themselves, but in the reactions of the workers. They never get upset or discouraged. Instead, they embrace each small accident, shrug it off, and move on with admirable spirit. As I see a worker named Caleb is organizing ink buckets. He sets them in a neat line, ensuring perfect spacing, almost like a items in a showroom. When he steps back to admire his work, a gentle breeze passes by, just enough to the paper glides downward and lands directly on the bucket lines. Caleb picks it up with a look that suggests he has just witnessed an elegant ballet performance. Tucks it into his pocket and returns to perfecting his lightweight buckets. Master artist. These are only the early hours of the day, and already the stage for spontaneous humor performs without pause. Every worker contributes unintentionally, becoming part of an ongoing show that needs no script. As the morning moves toward its late hours, the construction site develops its own kind of rhythm, steady yet filled with unexpected sparks of joy. I shift my attention to an area where several workers are preparing materials for the next stage of the project. Among them is a man named Oliver who has always been known.
You can do it, guys. You can do it. It's a last big one.
A small performance. Today, his
okay,
goal
now
is
let's
to
see
roll out
this
a
part.
section of protective covering along the path. The roll is large and slightly stubborn, not entirely eager to cooperate with Oliver's plan. He places one hand carefully on the ground and begins pushing the roll forward. At first, everything seems smooth. But halfway through the path, the roll decides to shift just a little to the right. Oliver gently nudges it back, as if correcting the behavior of the pressure. For a brief moment, the roll obeys. Then it swings slightly to the right, and Oliver follows it again, ensuring it stays aligned. The scene material. As observers, we can see Oliver trying to maintain full dignity while also acknowledging the wobbles in place as though Oliver pauses, releases the hands on his hips, and takes a deep breath. He then crouches, examines the roll with a sense of exaggerated seriousness, and whispers.
Bro, won't start.
No one
Bro.
can hear what he says, but whatever.
Where's the other
it is,
pedal that
the
goes
roll
there?
must appreciate his sincerity, because it suddenly begins to move forward again with surprising enthusiasm. Oliver raises his eyes, impressed with his own negotiation skills. When he finishes, he gives the roll a gentle tap, the way a coach might praise an athlete after a long sprint.
Damn!
Not far from Oliver, another These panels are easy to handle, at least in theory, but they have a habit of catching the breeze. Mark holds dust passes through the Mark straightens it, but once he lets go, jokingly steps away from it as if giving it a chance to chase it. It stays still now, finally content. The midday sun rises high above the site, brightening every corner. Lunch approaches, but before the break, yet another amusing moment begins to unfold. A worker named Lewis is carrying a bucket behind his construction material. The bucket is perfectly fine, but Lewis chooses to carry it with extraordinary caution, almost too carefully. As he walks, he focuses delicate and overly calculated. The way he navigates the path resembles a man trying to cross a corridor filled with imaginary alarms that might activate. When he reaches the destination safely, Lewis releases a breath as if he has just completed an adventure. The bucket, of course, remains exactly as calm as it is. Across the site, one of the walls is preparing to repay his casting a brief shadow that startles Samuel ever so slightly. His hand twitches, but instead of painting a straight line, he creates a dramatic swirl. He pauses, studies the swirl.
Technologia!
He steps back. The worker walks by, looks at the swirl, and asks if it was intentional. Samuel simply says, in the calmest tone, "Much of personality." Workers gather around different shaded areas of the site, each taking a moment to rest. But even during the break, the comedic rhythm does not pause. One worker opens his lunch container, only to discover that he packed the wrong meal. Instead of frustration, he stares at it in complete disbelief. Accepting his fate. Another worker tries to open a drink bottle. Twisting gently, adjusting his grip, tapping the counter. Eventually, the colleague opens it with a single effortless motion. The worker stares at him with admiration. Confidently, he begins walking across the site with the stride of a man ready to conquer an afternoon of productivity. But halfway through the journey, one rock starts to tilt. Adrian adjusts slightly, trying to keep Adrian responds with a series of small balancing motions, moving his elbows forward like a tightrope walker maintaining equilibrium. He dusts off his clothes, nods with satisfaction, and walks away with a heart of confidence overcome a challenge only he truly understands. Nearby, another worker named Felix is checking a set of boards. He leans one board against a stack, intending to let it rest while he inspects another. However, noticing, just as it was his coworker across the site raises a hand in acknowledgement, and Felix responds,
Technologia!
pretending the moment is sounds become more lively again, blending with the soft hum of distant machinery. The sun casts long shadows across the ground, and the entire site appears like a stage. And so the narration goes on, flowing through every corner of the site. Ordinary labor into an ongoing tapestry of shadows. As the afternoon establishes its steady rhythm, the construction site that emerges naturally whenever
First time using a sledgehammer for the apprentice today.
drifts to a worker named Henry.
Yeah.
Thoughtful
You forgot to block it!
involves aligning a series of lightweight markers along its course. It is a job. He places the first marker, steps back, then adjusts it by a fraction.
Oh yeah.
Satisfied, he places the second marker, then steps back again, analyzing the line as if he's inspecting a broken piece of art. But midway through the alignment process, Henry notices an unexpected issue. The shadow cast by a nearby structure makes the markers appear slightly misaligned at certain angles. Henry tilts his head left, then right, trying to determine whether the markers are truly off or whether the illusion is shifting them so slightly that even a person standing inside the looks to notice the difference. When he finally steps back and settles his work, he nods with the kind of satisfaction usually reserved for completely complex architectural projects. One of his co-workers walks by, glances at the markers, and says that Henry accepts the compliment as though he just finished constructing an entire building. Not far away, a worker named Nolan is preparing materials for the next stage of the site. Nolan is Today he is stacking a set of boards into an pile. He picks up each board with care and places it gently onto the stack, aligning the edges. Stand still for a moment to see if the breeze will return. It does. The board lifts by the tiniest measure, as though refusing to settle. Then walks away with a satisfied nod, acknowledging the simple truths between man and material. The next scene unfolds near a shaded area.
Tecnologia! Tecnologia! Accedere tecnologia!
Leonard stretches the tape measure and
Oh! Get
smooth until Leonard pulls the Leonard maintains his composure, but his eyebrows raise just enough to raise him to notice the micro-expression. Quiet amusement of someone who has experienced the same unexpected recoil many times. Leonard unrolls the tape again, this time with a gentler touch. He arranges them in a row, grouping them by purpose, then adjusts the spacing to create a balance. But as he turns to leave, he accidentally measures the corner of the table with his nail. The tool shifts slightly, as if reacting collectively to the gentle bump. Elliot looks back with mild dismay, and positions them once again. He steps away slowly this time, watching the tools out of the corner of his eye to ensure they stay still. Satisfied, he walks off confidently, as though he has just resolved a diplomatic situation between himself. Across the site, the sound of light two workers discuss a game they watched last night, each reenacting a moment with exaggerated gestures. Another pair creates the best sandwich in the world. Speaking of a few workers relax the atmosphere is one of shared camaraderie. Then comes a moment involving a worker named Brent, who is transporting a small cart filled with harmless materials. The cart has a stable structure, but one of its wheels tends to swivel unpredictably. Brent begins moving the cart along a straight path, confidently following without issue. But a few feet in, the rebellious turns sideways, causing the cart to lurch and reverse. Brent adjusts his as Brent performs a subtle Brent stops, crouches, and returns the wheel to the correct position.
Technologia!
This time the cart follows him perfectly, as if acknowledging Brent's gentle yet firm approach. A short distance away, a worker
Que encontraron la manera de hacer una carretera con adoquines.
He bends down, draws a line, steps back, and checks the He picks it up, draws the next line, and again the pencil snaps out his fingers and pulls a few inches out. He retrieves it once more, this time holding it perfectly. But when he places it on the board momentarily, it rolls again, following the subtle slope of the surface. Instead of frustration, Owen simply laughs quietly to himself, then places the pencil inside the With this small victory achieved, he continues his work. As the afternoon stretches into later hours, the soft warmth to the environment. Shadows like This natural shift brings out a sense of calm, but the humor continues steadily. One of the next amusing scenes involves a worker named His technique is precise. But then, as he holds the neatly coiled cable, one end slips free and unwinds just enough to disrupt the scene. After the process, examining the slight imperfections that assist him, he slowly recoils the loose section and restores the perfect surface. He lifts the finished coil with pride, almost expecting a round of applause for his attention to detail. Even though no one sees it, the satisfaction on his face is unmistakable. As I stand there in the scenes, a gentle sense of appreciation settles me. The construction site is moments that reflect the humanity and spirit of the people working. Every action, every small accident, every and so the day continues, filled with narrate themselves through their as the construction site settles into a steady pace, but the natural stream of amusing moments continues. I shift my attention towards the Marcus is not diligent, often moving with meticulous determined to test his patience in Marcus tries adjusting his head. The still refuses to settle. After several attempts, he spins in the slot, as though expecting me to respond with an explanation. He then taps the crate lightly, as if trying to remind him to cooperate. The crate remains unmoved. Marcus sighs softly, rotates the marker 90 degrees, and tries again. This time,